What's up, guys? Flippin' Steve in the captain's chair of Off-Centered. Going to film Off-Centered on Wednesday night, which is today, and you won't see this video until sometime later in this week. Who knows? Anyway, starting the morning off here in the 302 with a Veriswap deal, trading away the Trey Lance encased, picked up at Atlanta Culture Collision. Let's take a look at that deal right quick. We're over here in the old Veriswap whack app. They want to acquire the Trey Lance encased from me. Cost in is $80 for this card right here. It's a nice card, just not necessarily the player on the front. I get the $150 value out of it being in for $80. It would make sense. The offer to me is this Joe Burrow PSA 9 red, white, and blue rookie card, and this Justin Herbert Prism red cracked ice in a raw form. So that's raw. It's not even graded, so it has a little bit of more potential on top of it. If we head to 130point.com, we can see where the Joe Burrow is comping in a PSA 10 at $290. Now, yes, this is a PSA 9, but just think about potential. Raw copies, $90. A PSA 9, $92. A raw copy, $89. A raw copy, $90. A PSA 9, $90. So you're looking at constantly right around that $90 to $100 ballpark for a raw or a PSA 9. And the PSA 10 sitting at between $250 and $300. We just give it a big ballpark. The red cracked ice of the Justin Herbert, a BGS 9.5, did $175. And then you have PSA 9 doing $90. PSA 9 doing $76. Now mine is in a raw copy, so mind you, if I sell it raw, I'm probably going to get the PSA 9 price, which is around 70 to 80 bucks. And if it has the potential to be graded, we can already see where a BGS 9.5 does 175 and a PSA 10 does 250 to 300. So even more potential on top if I go in and get the graded card and it's actually gradable. And the Burrow will actually erase the cost of my Trey Lance. So to me, this is actually a trade I want to do, with the potential to easily double my money and possibly grade the Justin Herbert when I get to look at it. And the upside, could be more limitless. Here at the post office with 7 packages, man. They're going to think that I'm one of those LuLaRoe ladies.
Here, have a good trip wherever you're going. Ireland. Ireland?
Somebody's going to Ireland. Are you waiting for me? The main subject I want to discuss in today's video is buying raw to grade. And a lot of times people talk about that's the best way to flip in the hobby. That's the best way to make profits. That's where your margins are at. And that is true. But a lot of times what isn't talked about is the risk involved when you're buying raw cards. And really the risk involved anytime you're buying a card. With the ebbs and flows of the market, there's just always some sort of risk involved. But your risk is even higher when you're buying raw to grade. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about doing this. There is one way that is more safe. You buy stars, you buy goats, you buy highly collected players, and all you do is you grade them and hope that they grade out well, and that adds value to the card just by putting that slab on there. And you're going to get the premium for getting high grades, but you're also going to be into those cards for a little bit of money. And I'm going to have some examples because you're buying big name players and legends, so they're going to be more pricey. Tom Brady case hit solar eclipse. This thing looks really, really clean. These things don't typically grade out very well. These cards are very condition sensitive, usually have corner issues, but this one looks really good. And I hope so, because this was a $250 raw card. There is some risk involved. The other way is to prospect. Now, when you're prospecting, you leave yourself more room for margin because not only are you looking to profit off of grading the card, but you're also looking to profit off the success of a player that was previously, not successful or hasn't played or shown what they can do yet. So in that instance, you're going to get the grading premium, and you're also going to get the boost in market value on a player that is starting to come into his own or become a star. First of all, with that method, right out of the gate, your risk is going to be the prospect, is going to be the player. More players actually fail than are successful in professional sports. It's not an easy thing to do, or everybody would do it. And often, the gamble of buying prospects just doesn't pay off. And I sure wish somebody would buy these Sam Darnold cards. The second big risk you're going to take is actually finding quality raw cards. And sometimes this can be difficult. Most of your raw cards are going to have to be bought online. If you go to shows and in person where you can actually see the cards, that's typically best. Of course, you get to see the card before you buy it. You can evaluate it on the spot. However, when you go to shows and when you deal in person, you just don't find many raw cards, period. Most showcases are loaded with cards that are already slabbed, and anything that's worthy of grading has already been graded by the dealer because they know what they need to do to make money. To then put you in the predicament of having to risk buying nice cards online. You want to look for good photos, of course. You want to typically look for people who aren't selling a lot of slabs. That means they just sell raw cards, or breakers. A lot of breakers will sell on platforms such as eBay. So look for different sellers that could be possible breakers. Make sure you're looking at descriptions and at photos. Make sure you're double checking the centering. That's going to be the number one thing you can take away from a photo. And I myself have made the mistake of overlooking centering on a card before. Justin Fields out of 7, super risky buy. I wish I would have paid better attention to the top to bottom centering here. It's just off, but the way that it's angled in the photo actually made the centering look good, and that's my fault for not asking for more clear, better photos. A blemish can be hidden. Centering can be hidden. There are certain ways that people can angle the cards so that if there's a defect, it's not the thing that's brought to the forefront and it's easily overlooked or even unseen or unnoticeable in a photograph. Another orange Justin Fields card in hand. Looks really, really clean and really, really good. You can imagine how it presents in a scan. And we're going to put this one under the magnifier later. But just want to stress the importance of being happy with the photos that you see of the cards. And sometimes those photos aren't a full representation of the card's condition. So get as many of them as you can as possible. I send messages all the time. I'll give you guys a couple examples right up here of messages that I've sent out because they're cards that I want to buy. But I have a question about the photo or about the card, and I just ask for more pictures of the surface, more pictures of the corners, and things like that. If a seller is confident in the card that they are selling, then they will send you photos. Usually, if you don't hear back from them, it's typically a card that you're really not going to want to mess with. We've got a beast alert. Decided to bring old Daisy Dingus down here walking at the beach. It's a nice day in the 302, but it's always about 10 degrees colder and a little breezy down here by the water, and then it is at my house. So hood up, zip up on, let's go. Can't complain when you have the whole place to yourself. February here in the 302, it's winter. This water is probably no warmer than 40 degrees, but I'm about to put my feet in it and hopefully it feels therapeutic. You guys remember the old live streams when I used to actually get up to my waist in this water? Ooh, that's a holy shit moment. Oh! Oh! It's so cold it burns. Come on, Daisy. Come on. Come on. A cheetah. One thing I want to mention is eBay does require people to put a condition on their own cards when they're selling them in a raw form. Now, most of the time you'll see near mint to mint, but what is near mint to mint? Everything is subjective, and that is another risk that I'm going to talk about later on, but people are going to tend to have biased opinions about their own cards. So a lot of times when you see a near mint to mint on a listing, it doesn't necessarily mean in your eyes that's what it'll be. And I don't know what kind of protection eBay will offer against that. Also, consignment houses will list a lot of times that listing as excellent. They will put the excellent rating on the cards because they want to protect themselves from potential returns and such. So a lot of times, even though a consignment house has raw cards listed as excellent in grade, they could be better because they're just listing that as a fail-safe. So make sure, again, the importance of your photos and your pictures is something that you're not forgetting about. Right, Daisy? We want to look at all the pictures. On the boardwalk here at Rehoboth Beach in the 302. And I've been putting in deals all day on cards on eBay. I've been making some offers. Haven't got anything done on Veriswap, on eBay, on any platform today. Hopefully I'll have some deals to show you guys by the end of this video. We're in a shop here called Sierra Moon. It's pretty much where I buy all of my clothes. Got some new sweatpants here. Going to be able to represent the 302 with these. The Justin Fields here, I've already evaluated, and it is going to go to grading. It's just going to more than likely be a 9 or one of the duds in the package. But I want to show you what I'm talking about things that don't show up on a scan or a camera. I'm going to try not to get fingerprints on this because this is already ready to go. On the bottom corner, I'm about to get it in close. You can see a surface dimple. Right down here by my fingers, actually, 2 little small. One's really small, and then one's a little bit bigger. Getting a little bit closer, there it is. And that's just stuff that you are not going to see on a scan. Going to bring me to the next risk, and that is the grading companies. The grader that you get for that day. It is a human. They are going to make mistakes just like everyone does. And I know that they're supposed to be paid professionals, but the thing is, I mentioned earlier, everything is subjective. And somebody may view one card differently than another. That card that I just showed you guys, that card, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it was an 8. I'm thinking that it'll be a 9. But either way that it goes, I will not be surprised. And that is the risk that you run when you're sending into grading companies. And I know that's why a lot of people who are going to be viewing this video are going to be like, grading is a scam. I don't grade my cards. I understand that, but you're not a very successful flipper if you're not grading your cards. You may not be a flipper at all. So this may not be the video for you. Anyway, I'm not going to get any more off topic. But the last risk is the grading company, regardless of who you go with. And we know now SGC is going to fall under PSA. PSA is the way to go for these modern cards that I'm talking about, but there's going to be inconsistencies and there's going to be risks. And what you think a card may be completely opposite of what somebody else is thinking. And unfortunately, the fate of the value of your cards is left up to someone who can make a mistake, is left up to a subjective opinion. So that is a big risk in itself. Please, if there is a God out there, allow my grader to get some booty before he goes to work and grades my cards. Thank you. About to have us a beef jerky experience. Snapping turtle jerky. I bet you this stuff has some bite. Stopping at a Jewish deli here to get some sandwiches. I've never been in here, but I hear this place is popular, and it's really not far from my house, so I figured I would check it out. Got the pastrami brisket sandwich, and apparently when you order a slice of carrot cake from the Jewish deli, this is what they give you. I did end up making some deals during the video shoot, but also perfect timing. I got some photos back from a question that I asked about a card earlier. An Aaron Rodgers prolific case hit, and you'll see here in the photos, and it's a good thing I asked. If I zoom in really, really close on one of the corners, I can see where it actually has a corner ding on it. Also, funny enough, I already picked up one of these today as one of the deals. So this is the Aaron Rodgers prolific case hit out of Panini Black, picked up for 40 bucks. Also a nuclear, which is a steel card out of Plates and Patches. Awesome looking design on those for 60-ish bucks, 63. Aaron Rodgers. His stuff in a New York Jets uniform, I just believe is a pretty solid play right now. I also got Panini Black prolific case hit of Anthony Richardson. This one's going to be super high risk, like I said earlier. Not only the player, but the condition of the card. And then I also picked up for 20 bucks a Travis Kelce Origins case hit as well. The final risk I want to talk about taking is crossovers. Whether you're buying SGC, BGS, and you want to cross them over to PSA to get premium dollar, it really doesn't make sense to cross any other way. For instance, with this BGS 9.5, all of the grades are strong except for the centering is a 9. But on a card like this, how do you really judge the centering? It doesn't have a border. The radiance is written here, but there's not really any way to kind of like judge the centering except by the back. But the back centering on this is as good as centering as I've ever seen on a card. I mean, it is 50-50 top to bottom and left to right. So to me, I believe this is a good candidate where PSA will probably be a little bit more lenient. And I know people are going to say, no, they're not. BGS doesn't grade as good. But when I look at these subgrades, PSA is definitely known to be more lenient on their centering than any other company. And the rest of these subgrades are strong. So I'm feeling like a snap candidate here for this, because I'm into this card for $140 in trade, and a PSA 10 Patrick Mahomes just did $250. So I'm feeling if I can get that Brady into a PSA 10 case, it can be a $220 to $250 card. And if it comes back a PSA 9, I actually believe it'll be a little bit more liquid at the same price. I don't know if there will be much of a premium on a card like this as opposed to like an RPA or an auto rookie. A case hit like this, someone would probably pay the same amount in a PSA 9 as a BGS 9.5, and it would be more desirable, especially right now with people, not liking BGS. Make sure you're wearing eye protection when you do this, and kids, don't do this. Get your dad or your mom. You got a cool mom if she'll do this. Do not be snapping your slabs, kids. It can be dangerous, and you could tear up your cards. And again, it's another risk. Usually the main trick here with the vice grips is to hope that it causes the case to crack just by tightening them on there. And you don't even got to put much torque on it. Nice chunky piece. Not splintering too much. Like swimwear, baby. And of course, Beckett also puts a soft sleeve on their cards, so you got to remove that as well. Get that out of there nice and easy. Want to evaluate this again outside of the case. Something could have been missed. But I really don't see any flaws on this card that won't cause PSA to give this a 10. Looking pretty good. Risk it for the biscuit. Be it for today's video, guys. It's running a little long. I hope some of this information helped you guys out if you are buying raw to graded cards. If not, thanks for viewing anyway. Guys, I need to hear from you what kind of material you would like for me to put out in the future. I keep saying that I'm going to pull back on the content and then I end up uploading a video. But the thing is that I don't want my content to be just fluff and hot air. I actually want to put out content that you guys find useful as well as entertaining. So comment below things that you would like to see. There's only so much information that somebody can give out before there's just not much information to give out anymore. But as things come up, I'll put them into the videos. But comment below, guys. I need some ideas on what you would like to see or what you would like my opinions on, or if you like just hanging out with me and Daisy. If you just like hanging out with me and Daisy, I feel sorry for you, but thanks. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy your weekend, your time off, whatever it may be, life. Say hello to my little friend.